Hi, thanks for stopping by. I have an idea for you, one I bet you'd never think to hear from a power engineer such as myself. Truly a revolutionary idea, an environmentalist's dream. Let's put solar PV panels for the production of electricity on every rooftop in the country. Would this not go far in winning the battle against global warming? So what's the problem with legislating solar panels for every new roof? A close inspection of our national and regional electrical systems, supplying us with the power we need to go about our business every day, reveals that the electrical distribution system is in fact a holistic entity, requiring real-time coordination between generation and consumption. The entity responsible for this coordination is who we shall call the grid manager. That entity is responsible for ensuring that our industry has the power they need when they need it, and that when we get home after dark and turn on the lights, there is sufficient electricity in the grid for that to happen. It is the grid balancer who is responsible for supplying the grid manager with day-ahead hourly generation numbers aggregated from all the generators producing in the grid. If there is a shortfall in these day-ahead energy figures, the grid manager turns to his spinning reserve. These are generators running in neutral, not connected to the grid, burning fossil fuels, waiting for such time when the grid manager should require more power. And this is how our grid has worked for over 100 years. And then about 15 to 20 years ago, we began putting PV panels on our rooftops. This made us very happy. And then we began to put them on our factories, and this was great for all of us. But our grid manager became increasingly confused, realizing less revenue. Yet he is still responsible for grid stability. As residential and commercial solar increase exponentially, our grid balancer also becomes confused because he is unable to accurately calculate the day-ahead hourly generation he must give to the grid manager, and this makes our grid manager upset. Upset because we and our PV have upset the stability of the grid. Our PV systems are energized by the sun. The atmosphere between us and the sun causes inconsistent generation. Most of the installed power in the world today is residential and commercial. These are small systems with no budget for performance monitoring, and for the most part, the system owners are unaware of the daily performance. Due to the inconsistent generation of PV solar, the grid managers must run more spinning reserve to make up a possible shortfall. According to my conservative calculations, $17 million were spent in 2017 for spinning reserve in California alone, just to fill in for possible solar PV shortfall. The typical electrical grid in use today is unidirectional. It is designed to take power in one direction, from the power stations to the consumer, in continuously reduced conductor size. Our PV rooftop systems are producing maximum power during the time of day when consumption is least, causing a lot more power to be pushed the wrong way through the grid. This creates voltage fluctuations in our neighborhood grids, and even overvoltage, endangering our home consumer electronic devices. In countries where energy is traded on a market, the lack of accurate PV predictions create high losses on the spot market. The solution? PVpredict. 5 years in the development, 3 rounds of investment from the Israeli Ministry of Energy, PVpredict is a software-as-a-service solution, taking easily accessible weather server data and the data from the PV system inverter. We use machine learning algorithms to calculate the next day's hourly electrical generation and today's state of health. In Europe, small residential and commercial systems comprise 53% of installed capacity in 2016. In California, the numbers were similar. In Australia, this was the case for over 1.6 million systems. These systems usually do not have monitoring and certainly no sensors. The monthly electric bill is often the only interface these people have with their system. This is no way to run a power station or to pay back the system capex and schedule. Our solution informs the system owner as to their system health within 12 hours of each day's end. Energy traders in Europe include utility-grade PV systems in their portfolio. The current prediction methodologies offer an accuracy of 70 to 80%. Our accuracy was 80 to 90%, and we are now achieving 95%. The difference between next-day market pricing and spot market pricing is a factor of about 3. After our first round of development ending 2014, we were already 15% better than commercial services serving the European trading markets. Blockchain technology has brought us to the cusp of peer-to-peer trading. We are working with one such venture as the production validator. Inverter manufacturers and monitoring service providers can offer little to small system owners other than inverter comparison or perhaps a performance ratio if irradiation sensors exist. PVpredict compares the PV system to its own potential. PV fleet owners and maintainers have to ascertain the health of thousands, even 10,000s of systems every day. How they do this effectively is anyone's guess, but from what I understand, the monitoring is far from close. Our services software sends a single file to the company's CRM with the health parameters for each system, based both on the potential from the weather as well as other traditional matrices. So how does the PVpredict system work? We start with the data stream from the PV inverter. We require only the data from the inverter. We need not know anything about the system at all. We do not have to know the system size. We do not have to know anything about the modules, or their inclination, or their azimuth, or the inverter. All we require is the data stream from the PV inverter. Next, we take the GIS location for the purpose of allocating a weather server. We put these two parameters into our machine learning technology, and then we calculate the next day's hourly generation for each individual system's state of health and for the DSO voltage control DERMS. We aggregate a multitude of diverse systems into a single virtual PV power plant for the TSO to reduce spinning reserve and for energy traders. And of course, to help the small system owner to realize their business plan and to ensure availability. As per GTM, the age of the DERMS, or Distributed Energy Resource Management System, is thought to be worth $110 million by this year, 2018. We are in the middle of 2 pilot projects, one in a kibbutz in Israel, where our software will aid in managing the voltage levels in the low-voltage residential distribution system. And in Nicosia, Cyprus, we are working in 2 neighborhoods, one with storage and one without, to manage voltage levels and to reduce spinning reserve. Our DERMS is not demand side. In a residential system, this won't work. We are quite simply returning to the grid manager the control he lost with the advent of distributed solar energy. How do we do it? I invite you to download the report I wrote describing our technologies, along with other new statistical performance monitoring methods developed in Australia and at the Sandy Laboratories in North America. So let's all pull together to bring about massive PV energy generation, whether you're an energy trader, a grid manager, a solar installer, or if you manage a PV maintenance company, and certainly if you own a small system, we have a tool for you.